On into another edition of X Feed. Everybody's timeline looks so different. One thing that would be hilarious is if we were able to swap accounts, or I had access and I could be like, all right, I can only do the show based off what I find on your specific feed. Do you think we do well with your feed, or do you think I'd be kind of shocked? Today, we're going over the winged helmet from the original Otherside giveaway, our team winning experience, I guess. Talking a little bit about Pudgy Penguins. They're doing a whole Asia tour. I guess people are going out and leaving their house once again. What's going on a little bit with BAYC, going over some older collections as well to see if you remember what the price points were and what they are at currently. So Tenacious, highlighting just the fact that they don't ever want to sell one of these winged helmets, calling it the party hat of Otherside. And for anybody that doesn't know, RuneScape, one of the famous MMORPG games of the world, had a party hat item that was super exclusive and was one of the most expensive things within the game. Now it's not the case, I don't think. Maybe in the original RuneScape, but I guess one of the devs found the original code for one of the earlier versions, so they relaunched it as RuneScape and then old school RuneScape. So there's two games, and the old school one's got more players than the new one. But anyway, it's still selling for $1,000 plus. $1,000 plus, guys. What do you think? I don't think you can even use this. So I know that for the avatars that did the Gucci Grail, so Gucci had a collab with Bored Apes where they sold some pendants, and it actually changed the artwork on the NFTs for that. And during the previous Project Dragon playthrough, they had like a stream of mist or stars or whatever behind them. And so it was kind of a cosmetic effect within the game, which was kind of cool. But I don't know if I saw any of the winged helmets available in the last Project Dragon. Maybe we'll see them in this one. Maybe they're not implemented yet. Either way, we'll see. The Huxley comic, if you guys remember this is one of the third ones from Ben Mauro. Still waiting to kind of see what is going to be coming out of that collection, because at one point, again, this was one of the most hyped up things in NFTs. 5,739 ETH volume. Kind of nuts. There's 20,000 comics, and the idea with this was there was several different editions, so there was 6. And as you can see for the first one, 5,000. You might remember the red cover for it. Right now, these are going for about $109. I actually have some of the physical versions in the closet that maybe I can bring out and show you guys at some point. But you were able to get kind of like exclusive ones down the line if you ended up collecting all of the different issues. If you ended up minting, burning, there was some other avatars that were associated with it as well. And the gameplay that they originally showed looked somewhat like Star Wars Battlefront. But this is a collection again. Was very cool to see from like an artistic standpoint, because Ben Mauro was somebody that worked on Halo and several other notable games and decided to go the route of NFTs, and from my understanding, still doing stuff within it. Now, one of the more negative ones was the Genx by House of Kibaa. So they had like Big Show, if you remember, from WWE, and some other people actually come together and create a movie. It felt almost super rushed in a way. There was a collection called House of Kibaa, which is what the HOK stands for, and they had memberships that were only out of 500. And it was kind of like an early access pass to this entire ecosystem. Then the ecosystem kind of went docile. They hired a new CEO. The new CEO is super dramatic on X all the time with different takes and hot takes and pissing people. It's always great in NFT land. But one of these things was the fact that they also were partnered with Gutter Cat Gang, working on some 3D cat avatars, which I guess absolutely went nowhere. But they had some of like their own characters. But as you can see with them, it wasn't like crazy by any means. You think, like it's okay, but there's definitely higher quality things out there. So to be honest with you, I have no idea what the hell has been going on with House of Kibaa, but the Gen Zeros, if I open up the site, this will probably take me straight to what the movie looked like, or the site just can't be reached. Okay, maybe they took it down. But again, they had some very interesting individuals playing in those movies and got a lot of attention, and then kind of went nowhere. LaMelo Ball. So these were NFTs that were sold, and they had the opportunity for different raffles. So if you were a big LaMelo fan, if we go through, I believe there was, looks like 8. Well, they must have added some because they had like this gold evolve and then they had a bronze one, red Mars, whatever. And you were able to kind of use these and enter into a draw to get different LaMelo wearables from his game experiences, whatever. They were supposed to do more things like within the metaverse. Again, 336 ETH total volume. Did get some traction at the time, but I don't think a whole lot happened to it. Mr. Harry Swan, good Pokemon morning to you, good sir. And this is what the minting site looked like. It doesn't seem like it changed that much. They had some extra drops, I guess, in 22, which I didn't even know those happened because all I remember is these first ones. And these were expensive. I'm pretty sure the gold one was several ETH, if I remember correctly. So it wasn't cheap, but going for the FAQ, what are NFT collectibles? NFTs are digital items that are stored and transferred using the same blockchain, yada, yada, yada. This is what I was looking for. How are LaMelo collectibles different? LaMelo NFTs are dynamic and supercharged with utilities powered by Ether cards and Chainlink. Owning a LaMelo Ball collectible grants VIP access to Melo's inner circle, where owners are rewarded for owning the collectibles. Each collectible has level up capabilities based on the outcome of real-life events, like a Rookie of the Year announcement. As LaMelo's career evolves, so will the collection with dynamic integrations to stats and milestones. Fans holding certain NFTs will win highly curated memorabilia and exclusive experiences. So I think they might have done a couple of these. I feel like there was some like uncertainty around certain components and like the website not working for like redemption or whatever. But I mean, that's, kind of par for the course. And then Super Yeti. Do you guys remember Super Yeti? These things are going for 0.013 ETH, which right now are about $35. And the story with Super Yeti, at least from my recollection, and feel free to jump in and tell me the better and bigger story, because there definitely is. During the hype of just NFTs in general in early 2021, these guys launched June 2021, and certain collections got a lot of notice, volume, and attention, while other ones kind of didn't, where we can use the example of Pudgy Penguins and Party Penguins. Those were two different collections, and they were both about penguins, but early on, one collection did a little bit better, and then obviously down the line, Pudgy's did way better, and there was all this notion of, well, that collection was this animal, and it's got this, so why doesn't it happen with ours? And there was stoner cats who had, like, cats that were smoking, but then there was also blazed cats who tried to do, like, a copy variation of that, but then have it where they were saying that the money went to charity. And Super Yeti was one that was talking about how they were going to do like a 3D metaverse. They're going to have a game and all these different things. And they've stuck in the news a lot, but they ended up just kind of turning into a meme. And I don't really know why. Maybe just the fact like of how it looked. But there was a lot of collections that were catching bids, and you could. It's funny because now we're on the timeline, and you have people that are saying this collection's the alpha, that one's the. Well, nobody says that for NFTs anymore, but more like meme coins. But back in the day, they used to say, "Oh, this collection was going to be the best," and 9 times out of 10, it was completely random. Which ones caught bids? Which ones went anywhere? Which ones completely shut up shop? All over the place. But the Readyverse, welcome, cool cats, to the Readyverse. What do we think about this? Completely different vibe than I was expecting, but it shows, and they've kind of highlighted that they can do different models of characters, where this feels like a very specific game, and you can see Parzival from Ready Player One in the back there, and you can run through the portal, which the idea with all of this, again, is that they're trying to be open interoperable, but the just the texture, the game format, it does look completely different, and it's cool to see that I think the tech, whether this be AI or just the way things are working nowadays, you can have the very different styles. Because again, people were asking, hey, like, is it a high fidelity version where we've seen the Readyverse and it's more realistic, where this one is like, it's realistic, but in like a very specific design, but I still think it looks really good. But you can see, like, here's a great example where everything is in like a very specific tone and style, where the Parzival character looks like it's completely out of place there because it's of a certain avatar and visual that just, I mean, it kind of fits because you're like, oh, okay, this guy's like through all the different metaverses and whatnot, but it's interesting to dissect a little bit. Pudgy Penguins introducing the official Pudgy Penguins Asia Tour. We're coming to 7 different Asian countries and hosting various events, activations, and experiences for the huddle. So Bali, Tokyo, Seoul, Kuala Lumpur, Singapore, Hong Kong, and Bangkok. A lot of different things. I tried going to the website to see exactly what it was, and then half the stuff is not in English, so not really going to get anywhere. But again, they're doing experiences, trying to have that global reach, and will be interesting to see if that's actually they find success within that. Because for these different events, is it like how we see Pixelmon and Wilder World at Gamescom with Illuvium? Just what does it entail? They're bringing the NFTs to the masses. Oscar from, I think, Wolvesdow here is highlighting just different collections that are games that are Web3 related. And I just was looking at this and thought, holy smokes, I don't know if I've played any of these ones, but they all have different games. We say, hey, we like Web3. We like the aspect of Web3 gaming. There's a few experiences where Forgotten Runes, the Readyverse, I genuinely really enjoyed that. For Heavy Metal with Yuga, initially, I really enjoyed that. Weird a little bit, to be fair. But it's crazy that there's these many games, and a lot of us are within the space, but how many of us are actually going out there and playing it? Well, Huddle Hill does Sandbox. What's going on? How are you doing? But for these other ones, what's going to make you go out and do that? And so the question around branding, where we talked about the Shaq thing with Astrals the other day, where Shaq came into the space, decided, hey, I'm going to back this collection that's not going to end up doing anything. But we have this likeness that people really want and has an audience that obviously got bids because there was reasons for it. I mean, Gary V, we can use that as an example. There's a ton of people that are outside of NFTs that ended up buying his collection initially, right? That's the whole story. And so for these different games, it's all creating basically brand new IP. I mean, if one of these things said Call of Duty, RuneScape, World of Warcraft, Diablo, even just some of the bigger games naming brands, right? Like Riot Games, Blizzard, yada. Would you be like, oh, let me go try this? Or is there any kind of, barrier that you have because they don't have IP that you recognize and it's all new? Good, hope you are too. Hell yeah. Of course. Base making tweet saying on-chain summer doesn't stop. We're announcing an additional 40 ETH in rewards for Build-a-thon participants who successfully integrated the smart wallet, on-chain kit verifications, and Paymaster. Goes in a lot more, saying that we're also giving an extra 20 ETH for other builders that are doing stuff on Base. But interesting. Keep making the point of, all right, ApeChain, they're trying to get a whole bunch of different people, highlighting their toolkits, et cetera, et cetera. A lot of other chains too. We have Base out here offering incentives. We talk about Root. There's HighChain. The list goes on and on and on. Mutable X, Ronin. And the question, I guess, is when you get down to this, if we are having this huge interoperability aspect, is everyone that's doing games running through the Ronin network? Are they running through a Mutable X? Is Root Network being on there? Well, I mean, I feel like we're trying to go towards more of the gaming route, but we'll see if I'm right or wrong with that. But then for Base, well, I mean, arguably, if you're trying to look at the mainstream audience and compare everything, is Base not kind of up there with where we say for gaming, oh yeah, everything goes on Ronin? Well, for consumer stuff, well, everything happens on Base, but then we have Abstract who's saying, hey, we're going to be the consumer chain, and then, gets kind of convoluted. And is everything attached in a certain way, or who's in competition with who? If that makes sense, right? Where you look on the top of the board and generally people are like, okay, well, it's the ETH community versus Solana versus Cardano versus Ripple and all this. But, generally speaking, everybody likes Bitcoin. But then are we supposed to work together? What exactly does it look like? Just food for thought. Yo, Atari, what's going on, muchacho? So going on Base, just looking at their ecosystem here for gaming, because, of the rant we just went on. So Animoca Brands is on here. Applied Primate, which is one of the things that are... I thought that this was a part of Yuga Labs, but reading this, it says Applied Primate Megaforce Sentinel collectible card game is an on-chain PvP game featuring Applied Primate, Sentinel NFTs that was designed under advisement from Richard Garfield, creator of Magic the Gathering. So Applied Primate, I thought... Maybe I'm completely wrong on this. Yeah, I'm completely wrong on this. I thought this collection was something to do with the Leor and the guys from the Mutant Hounds. So that's interesting. I need to look in that a little bit more because I've seen those PFPs before. So Base Paint, Cat Town, whatever that is, Duck City, Dot Fan Cradles, Ethics, far less athletic. Okay, so I don't know who the hell these things are, but when you're looking at it, again, we can go through DeFi, we can go through security. We can actually, let's go to the social one right quickly and see what here is on base. So OXPL, BitAvatar, Blackbird, Catalog, Bountycaster, Coin, all these things. Collab.land, I have heard of that one before and used that. But all these ones, it's wild that you're like, okay, these are all connected, but like how many of them do you actually know? How many of them has made any difference in what you're doing? How many of them have gotten you to go and use like a certain chain? Now I'm just saving these because it's always kind of crazy when you're on your timeline and think that somebody just sent $395 million American from an unknown wallet to Coinbase. And then it's even weirder when they do the exact same amount right afterwards, 150,000 Ethereum, just below 400 million. Imagine hitting send on that one. Kind of crazy. Have you looked into VV, major IP, and a lot of grails like First Spider-Man on the blockchain? So I've not, like, I remember looking at VV initially, and then kind of, so I came from NBA Top Shot. When I was kind of getting out of that, I was like, all right, this is really cool, but it feels like you have to be like super fans of certain things to a point, because then your other aspect is only looking at the price. And it's funny you say that, though, is because I've watched Batman Begins, the Batman vs Superman movie, and Justice League. I've honestly not sat down and really watched like any movies or anything for like quite a while. And I was like, you know what? These superhero things are not bad. And it's like, you know, you have to have those touching points. And I remember like watching that. And so thanks for bringing this up. You reminded me. And I was thinking like, damn, you know, like if I just really like Batman or Superman from this Batman vs Superman movie, because I remember when I first saw it, I was like, this is my favorite movie ever. This is amazing. I don't know if I think that necessarily anymore. Still absolutely enjoy the hell out of it, but am I motivated to go out and like collect those things if there's not anything I can do with them except own them digitally? Because for myself, like, I mean, I don't have a whole lot of room here, and I'm just like, I don't know if I care about holding the physical things. So it's a really good question. I need to look into VV a little bit more after my recent superhero movie binge of sorts, but I kind of feel like there needs to be something a little bit more for the immersive side. Now, I think that if there was, you know, games that were coming out like within the blockchain space that had those IPs associated with them, I'd definitely go and check them out. And I'm definitely more open to that than previously having not rewatched or watched for the first time those movies. So Ashton saying here, I tried to use MoonPay, which again, were one of the people that were very big in terms of helping out BAYC connect to celebrities via Phantom, and they all got declined. Capital One, Apex, Visa, Chase, all auto declined. I called Capital One and they literally said they banned any purchases from crypto-related companies. How in the world is that legal? So these are one of the things where we kind of have like this notion of, oh, everything's great, everything's grand, until like you go out and you have some kind of declining of what's your money, and then sometimes you have blow-ups and you freak out and you're like, oh my goodness, I thought this was my money, what's going on? And so when we talk about the regulative clarity and whatnot, this is one of the reasons. Now, banks obviously have their own kind of, you know, is there a threat of fraud? Is there other things? Obviously, there's different like ways of connecting to a bank, right? There's like wire transfers, there's e-transfers. I think in the States, there's a couple of different things that are working on there. And it's like, does that just kind of like go away over time? Do we see more banks that are integrating and accepting of crypto? Do we see more of like a hold fast on there? Because again, the political regimes are very interesting right now as well. The amount of people saying different things in the United States. So visit Open saying, prepare to lose yourself in our exciting universe. Here's the kind of arsenal you can expect to arm yourself with in Open's AAA gaming experience. Weaponry and armor for basic attack and defense, jetpacks for mobility, vehicles for races and traversal, and throwable explosives. And this is just showing some high fidelity details. I think the bench meme is pretty funny, but if they put out this initially, I feel like this looks super slick. I love the way the style is. Surprised that they just kind of, you know, went over that bench initially, but it was a great meme at the time. It's a great meme. Okay, so Garga highlighting the fact that BAYC x BAPE is coming back, which if you hadn't seen, they were one of the clothing collabs. This one actually got some really massive attention. I loved the hoodies initially, but I was like, I don't know if I want to pay like $300 for a hoodie for this. It was kind of crazy, but good to see that they are having that collab once again. Always thought that the BAYC merch brand aspect would be awesome. One of the weird stories coming out of the day is that Sony is going to launch its own Ethereum L2 called Soneium. Okay. Don't want to keep the Y. They want to switch it to a name. That's respectable. But more players coming into the space, the more attention. What if these guys do an airdrop of sort, more liquidity in the space? Do we want more chains? Maybe. Do we need them? I don't know. Will we get them? Absolutely. McKenna, there has been a lot of talk on what revives NFTs, but I do not think the speculation PFP meta is what revives trading volume. For anybody that doesn't know what he means, he's just saying that it doesn't think, oh, Bored Apes are going to get all these airdrops and Cool Cats are going to have this and, speculate woohoo on everything that's kind of like in the top tier or like recognized within like the current PvP realm. Where it's funny because I haven't followed closely enough, but for gaming NFTs specifically, have they done well? For like Immutable with Gods Unchained, I need to re-go check that market, and same with Gilded Guardians. Remind me to do that before we finish the stream, if you can. I do think the tokenization of in-game assets and allowing traders to trade these assets within an in-game economy is where NFT volumes are revived. However, this does not mean NFT exchanges are set to benefit from this volume, since many Web3 gaming studios opt to build their own exchange to have control over trading fees. Yes, agree. So, I guess the argument's like, okay, so for Blur, for OpenSea, how are they just going to still be around if all of these things are siloed within their own gaming ecosystem to make sure they have the royalties? It's a great question. Now, when he's saying, I do think the tokenization of in-game assets and allowing traders to trade these within an in-game economy, is he referring to mass amount of transactions? Is it talking about little bits of ones where when I think of like RuneScape, for anybody that doesn't play, the economy kind of works where there's people that can go out and chop wood and then you'll get gold. So if you want to buy armor or something, you'll have people that are higher combat levels that goes out and grinds these different things for hours, and they'll sell it for a certain price, right? And it's on this grand exchange. And then there's other people that will, catch fish, and that can be used for people that are out training combat because they need to heal themselves within the game and they eat the food, but it needs to be cooked by somebody. So there's also a huge subset of people that go and buy that fish for cooking. Now, it seems kind of like a big stream of things, but that's a ton of transactions that are going back and forth, and it's not just looking necessarily at a single item of swapping a sword, swapping this, that. There is a lot and a ton of items. So it is interesting where, like, if you've played games, if you know what I'm referencing, hearing these type of conversations, knowing that people that are building these ecosystems are trying to kind of keep it within their ecosystem unless it's like beneficial to them. It's interesting thoughts. G-Funk out on the timeline again, founder of Pixel Vault and everything that's rocking on there. Again, Battle Plan, we've highlighted it a few times on the stream, but he went out and bought a bunch of NFTs this morning and highlighted some, one of them being two of them being two separate fidenzas. Crazy, the amount of money being spent. But that's not it. The Sotheby's auction wrapped up, 798,000 American dollars. 57 of the 60 lots sold. They had 160 bidders on all of this. So they had fidenzas, CryptoPunks, and more in that. Again, kind of nuts that we're seeing such significant sales. We sit here and we're like, we hope some NFT vibes come back a little bit more, even though the timeline's been a lot more positive. We hope that some sales volume comes back and whatnot. But thinking of how much fees were taken on this, kind of crazy to see almost $1 million on an auction for a couple of digital art pieces that it went for at a time like this. Not bad, eh? Adidas and the Cyberkongz. I guess this is kind of showing what the wearables look like. For anybody that's in the Futureverse community, we do have some different wearables that are happening where you can kind of see the different branding being associated with it. But I think, for Futureverse, they have it where it's like the real life kind of avatars and it's the style. For a couple of these different ones, it's funny because the way that these generative PFPs work is you like make the design of the attachment, right? And then you just can put it on any of them. I know it's like the same thing with the codependents, et cetera, et cetera. Just interesting to see. So KBW, the Korean blockchain week, they announced that Pac-Man's going to talk. And again, co-founder of Blast and Blur. This is coming up from the 1st of September to the 7th, with the main conference apparently being between the 3rd and the 4th. A lot of different people going to speak at this. We can see on the list Vitalik, Arthur Hayes, Brad Garlinghouse. Richard Teng from Binance here. BitGo, which is a huge player. If you've never looked up BitGo, go type that in. You'll be shocked. The SEC, one of the commissioners, kind of crazy. We got Polygon and Emoca Brands with Yatsio and a whole lot more. And it's interesting where I feel like around these conferences, it switched from, we're going to like speak and just kind of talk about the industry to, okay, we're going to these events, but these are events where we're also announcing major happenings, showcasing launches, and just generally being a more important piece to the puzzle that I think we've seen in the past. Because if you think for E3 in video games or other ones, which I think E3 is not even happening anymore, but all these conferences and things people used to use as leverage to announce, have it as a bigger event, because I mean, things can announce it individually, but when you do it at a bigger event, have all the socials associated with it. We'll be very excited to see who tries to stand out at that show. That's going to be it for this edition of XFeed. I hope you guys enjoy the hell out of it, because I enjoyed the hell out of spending some time with you. If you guys do want to support the stream on Twitch, there is a free subscription if you happen to have Amazon Prime for the Twitch subscription, but then on YouTube it's like $2.99 a month if you'd like to support that way. And also I do the RWA Segments podcast if you want to check the link in the description below if you're on YouTube or in my bio. Would love for you guys to go check that out if you enjoy the show. That's it for me. Goodbye forever. Oh, Atari, you said wait. Wait. Oh, hold on. There was something that I was supposed to do. I forget what it was. You said to remind you about gaming NFTs. You are an absolute legend. Token Trove. Let's go over to Immutable X because I'm not really super familiar with Ronin in terms of using their marketplace. So for Gilded Guardians here, let's just go for like the Guardians, I guess. And if we go from price to the lowest, wow, they're still in for 32 cents. What in the halibut? Now, a couple of these I'm not familiar with, so I don't want to talk out of turn. And I think that these might be ones that aren't the rare ones. So if we go to Founder here, so those ones are selling for $2 too. Okay, okay, now we're okay. That's not great. Gen 1 here for $1. Core 1, those are the bigger ones. The early adopters, which I don't know what these ones. These are going for 25. Listen, I was kind of optimistic going into this. This is not what I was thinking whatsoever. Oh my God. Okay, so for the avatars, these were like $30 last time I remember. They're going for 13 for the rarest one. This was the Dragonborn, I believe. So 2.5 ETH, only one of those listed. If we go to activity and see the sales time, 2 hours ago, 8 hours ago, 8 hours ago, respectable volume, you know, not terrible by any means. For the pets, these were supposed to be some of like the exclusive things. These are at $2, $7. Oh my goodness gracious. And then the bottom ones here, I'm too zoomed in. They are at 200. Okay. So the rarest ones here have held up a little bit. They've held up a little bit, but otherwise it's no comprendo. It is no comprendo. Okay, for the guild tokens, these things were going for an absolute bag, if we recall. So the cheapest one is $39. This one used to be around 0.1 to higher, so that's not great. The Warriors Guild, that one I felt like was closer to an ETH, but right now at 0.21, $5,000. The Legends Guild at 9 ETH, 25,000. Okay, that's come down, and then the Mythic Guild is 145 ETH. Probably nobody's paying that, but $384. Now, for anybody that doesn't know or wasn't around back in the day, there was guilds that came out because Axie Infinity, the idea around Ember Sword, there was a lot of talk about guilds, and obviously everything relied on the different games, and that's why we've seen so many different collections struggle, came around, that were hyped up and then maybe fell through because they made big bets of saying, hey, we want to be the top people within these certain metaverse worlds, similar to how you see people being like, oh, I want to be like the top app on Blast. I want to be the top app on Base. Can we be the #1 game in, Web3 on Ronin, et cetera, et cetera. They had aspirations for certain things when it looked decent, and unfortunately that didn't happen. Now, does that mean that the game's bad by any means? I don't necessarily think so, but they did have a ton of pivots, and I know that the game looks nothing like it was originally highlighted, but I'm glad to see that they're out and doing stuff. Zertmon will be on with us to go everything on Bunter Banter. Yeah. All right. I'm assuming that's on Sunday, so I'll try to show up good, sir, and I appreciate you coming on through. But that's going to wrap it up. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you